Welcome to Business on the Vine. I'm your host, Lady Jen Du Plessis, and in this dynamic series, we dive into the challenges, breakthroughs, and victories of entrepreneurs who have turned their passion into success. Welcome. Welcome. I am so glad you're here, and I want to introduce you to Alina Vincent. And I'm so excited to have her here today. Welcome. Welcome, Alina.
Thank you for having me here.
Of course, of course. She has a company called the Business Success Edge, which I absolutely love because I have a 3-day course that I do called the Edge.
Nice.
Which I don't even know if you knew that or not, but yeah, I call it the Edge because I think we all need an edge in business.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think that's what we need. So, we're happy to have you here today. I love telling people how I meet my guests. We met on, we've met on the
Several years
Marketers
ago.
Cruise.
Yeah.
Now, the Marketers Cruise a couple times, had loose conversations, and we met on the Podcasters Cruise a couple of months ago, and finally had the opportunity to sit down to get to know one another. And you were so gracious to have me on your summit, and we're podcast swapping, and we're going to do some other things together too. We're going to have some fun, which, by the way, as you're listening to this is what it's all about in business. You have to have a community of people helping you get to where you want to go. You cannot do it on your own. So that is what Alina is going to be talking to us about today, which, number one, I want to just talk about your business journey. Tell us where you started in business, and then give us an idea, where you're at now, and then we'll get into some other things.
Sure. So where I started in business is pretty interesting because growing up, never thought of having a business. I didn't have any examples of people who are entrepreneurs in my life. It wasn't something. I grew up in former Soviet Union, so it wasn't a thing. Everybody kind of had a job, and I grew up in a family of professors. So my parents were professors at the university. My grandparents were professors at the university. So for the first 16 years of my career, that's what I did. I went to school, I went to grad school, I was getting degrees, I was teaching, and I kind of thought my academic career will be my career, never even thought about anything else. And after working at the universities, after I moved to US, after I got a job here, I realized that I wanted something more. And I had a really unique opportunity to apply for a position of instructional designer at our university. And that's where I got to unleash some of my creativity. So I got to create online programs, hybrid courses, some of the very first ones at our university, and integrate technology into education. So it was always interesting, always something new to learn, and then teach it back to people who wanted to share that knowledge and expertise. And then I realized that I also didn't like having a boss or having somebody to tell me what I could do and
I
could
can
learn
see
and
that.
could
I can
teach.
see that. Yeah.
Yes. So I quit my job, and it
Yeah.
was like right after the 2008 recession. So not the best time to lose a job, but I said, I want to go on my own. I want to not ask permission for anything creative I wanted to do. I wanted to kind of be in control of my future and also of how much I was making. And I heard that advice that people say, if you have a hobby, just turn it into a business. How hard can it be? And
Yeah.
I've always loved photography. It's always been my hobby since I was like 12 years old. So I started the photography studio as my very first business. So I did that for a couple of years. There's a lot of learning that happened in those times. And then I realized that what I created was very unscalable because everything I was doing in that business, I had to show up and do everything one-on-one. Yes. So
Required
that
your finger.
Yes, so I couldn't grow that business. So I got it
Yeah.
to 6 figures, which is pretty unusual for a photography business. And then I couldn't grow it anymore, and I was working all the time. So that's when I shifted to what I'm doing right now. And I said, I want to create something that's going to be global, not local. And I wanted to work with multiple peoples at the same time versus just one-on-one. And that's when I kind of stepped into this business coaching, business strategy. And that was about 10 years ago. Struggled whole bunch at the beginning, but finally figured out a few things. And within 4 years, my business was making over $1 million. So that's
Yeah.
kind of where we are right now.
That's beautiful. I love that. And, I think we all struggle, in the beginning pieces of it, trying to figure out, and especially for you, not having seen or experienced the entrepreneurship world. And, as soon as you started talking about it, I thought of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. right? The
Yes.
book Rich Dad Poor Dad. That was, you were living that life. So you really didn't have anyone to guide you on, aspects of business itself. And that's probably
Mhm.
what led to that. You know, okay, so I know that I'm interested though why you didn't go right into um, courses and programs, because you're already doing courses and programs in the context of a
I did
university.
not know. I didn't think about it.
You
Like
didn't
it
even think about it.
never
Yeah,
crossed
because I
my
mean, it's
mind.
like, well, you already did it. Yeah, that's
Yes. Well,
funny.
because the question would be like, what would I teach? And I didn't even think about it. And I thought I
Right.
was leaving everything behind. It was kind of like all
Yeah.
or nothing. And
Yeah.
right before I left, like I have a degree in theoretical physics. I have a degree in computer science and engineering. And here I am starting a business, photography business. So to me, it was like, I cannot use any of that in my new
Oh,
business.
yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah.
completely threw
Yeah.
everything away and started from scratch. So it was like, what do I
And
like
that's
doing? I like
okay.
taking pictures. Yeah.
Right, right. And that's okay. And that's what we want you to hear, is
Mhm.
that that's okay if you go down a path and you find out, oh, wrong road. I think I
Yes.
need to go down this road. Either you're being pulled from a passion perspective or it's a financial perspective. In your case, it was financial. It wasn't that you lost your passion. It was that you wanted to scale and you had to move. And I think that's okay in
Hmm.
business. And so many of us think, oh, well, I failed if I didn't accomplish the white knuckle approach I was working after, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
So
definitely.
for you, what do you tell the person who has experienced that or might be entertaining their passion and saying, if it doesn't work, I always can do this, or someone who's about ready to make the decision to say, this isn't working. Now I'm not a failure. I just need to find something else. What's some counsel that you would want to give to any one of those three?
Okay, so I have a couple of things that come to mind. So number one, the big shock for me going from the academic world into the world of marketing and into the world of having your own business was that I assumed that if I was good at something, I can create a successful business around that. And I
Mm,
thought all I would be doing is taking pictures, stuff that I loved, stuff that I knew. And for me, the biggest realization, the biggest eye-opening moment was, no, that's a little teeny fraction of running your own business, being the practitioner of your craft. In reality, I had to learn how to run my business, which I had zero skills on. I didn't know how to market. I didn't know how to talk to people. I didn't know how to promote myself. I didn't know how to sell. Ew, like all of that stuff like that I've never learned. And I didn't think that was what it meant to run a business. So the
yeah.
first couple of years of me even having the photography business, I had to basically put on the back burner all of the fun things I thought I would have with my cameras and my studio and learn marketing. And that's kind of what opened me up to like saying, oh, now that I've learned this, now I can teach others because I had to start from complete scratch. So number one is if you are struggling in your business right now, ask yourself, because you're probably really good at what you want to share with people, what you want to
Mhm.
give people, the transformation you can provide. Do you have the skills to actually run a business? And spend more time learning how to run a business and how to market yourself, how to share your message, than actually getting better at your business, if at your
Yeah,
craft, if that makes sense. So that's the
yeah,
first one, because that's
yeah.
where I kind of sort of failed at the beginning, not realizing that that was
Yeah,
happening.
and I think a lot of us do because we come from corporate world. I mean, nowadays it's starting to get a little different, but even kids that are getting out of high school want to be entrepreneurs and they still
Mhm.
need to learn how to run a business,
Yes, yes,
right?
yes, yes. And the other thing that comes to mind is you have to ask yourself, is this still fun? Because if you don't have the passion, if it's kind of like, oh my gosh, it's becoming a chore, or it's frustrating, or I'm um, sacrificing my health, or I'm sacrificing my relationships in order to run that business, is that the business you want to create? So that's where for me, I couldn't take time off. I was working all the time and I had two little kids at home. It was like, this is not sustainable. This is not something I want to do. So again, I kind of let go almost cold turkey, found a new direction that I wanted to go in that would give me more of that leverage. And it felt so good just to say, I don't have to work 100-hour weeks anymore and still not making enough money for
Yeah,
what I was putting out
yeah.
there. Mhm.
Yeah, and that's right up my alley too. You and I've talked about that. Not moving or the shift. From working in and on to living above and beyond your business. And I think that that's the perfect thing for scaling. Okay, so that helps people with that. What was the turning point in your practice? You learned marketing, you learned all that, but what was the absolute like tipping point?
Yeah. So interestingly enough, it's the question that you asked me earlier. Why didn't I start teaching courses? So I
Yeah,
didn't realize it when I had a photography business, even though I was missing it. Like I'm a teacher in my core. So even when I had my photography business, I went to local college and I said, can I teach a couple of classes here? Because I always have this, like if I
right.
know something, but so I taught a couple of photography classes, but that was not quite enough. So when I started my coaching business, for about 4 or so months at the very beginning, all I knew was like, how do I talk to people one on one and get them to be my clients? So I was trying to get coaching clients, and that did not work. People
Yeah,
would be like, why would I get business advice from a photographer? It's a whole other
right,
story. And it wasn't until I like something clicked and I realized I actually know how to create training. I know how to create programs, and people want what I have. And I put out my first program. That was the hugest turning point. So I went from making not a penny in the first 4 months of my
right,
brand new business to having 40 something people in my very first program. And that was like, that opened the floodgate. My business got to 6 figures in 9 months right after that. So it's like, oh, why wasn't I doing it all along? It sometimes
right,
takes
right.
us a moment, right, to realize.
Right. Oh, I love it. I love it. Did you find that it was hard to create programs for topics you didn't know
Well, I wasn't
or
creating
help them, or help them do that? Yeah.
So that's the key. Like whenever we're creating a program, we're creating it around something that we already know. So the two
Mhm.
things had to happen for me. Number one, I had to realize I had this skill that was super highly marketable and people loved it. So that part was not a problem. Like anything I know, I can teach, I can create a training, I can create a program. Just didn't realize I should be doing it. And the second thing, I didn't think that I had something in me that people would want to learn. Because again, going through all of those iteration and all the transformations, I'm like,
Right.
well, I have this skill as a photographer. Who needs it in business? I have this skill in something else and it doesn't apply. And that's kind of where Facebook comes in, because when I first started my photography business, I had to learn how to be visible on Facebook. I had to learn how to engage people on Facebook. And I started to get really good at it. It kind of came naturally. And I was getting clients from Facebook easily. Took me almost 2 years to realize that a lot of people were asking me, how are you doing it? What are you posting? Where are you posting? How are you getting engagement? How is it that you make one post and you get two clients? That to say like, oh my gosh, I have a system that I can teach. So those two
Yeah.
things had to come into the same, like into the spotlight, and had to happen at the same time for me to say, I have something that people want to learn and I know how to teach it and put it together. So again, that
Yeah.
that was the
I
breakout
love
moment for me.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And that works for you. And I think and it works for others too, if they can combine their expertise with a system,
Yes.
that becomes, I mean, for me, I called it cracking the top producer code. I cracked the code because I'm like, there's a combination here that has to work in
Hmm.
order to get where I want to go. And I cracked it. Right, I
Hmm.
cracked the top producer code, and I think that that's exactly what you're talking about, is combining those two. And I think that's wonderful for someone who's listening in. Now I also know that as you're listening to this, you're going, good God, tell us what she does, because we're dancing around this subject. And you talked about Facebook communities, but we're going to leave that for a little bit later here, because I really want to talk about what you do the most of, and that is helping people get clients online
Hmm.
through challenges. So let's talk about how this applies to, because you were just talking about creating programs and things,
Yes.
and a lot of our listeners are, brick and mortar companies. They might own a financial firm, they might own, and they're not going to offer programs necessarily, or they might be an attorney, or they might be a vineyard.
Hmm.
Right, a vineyard. And they're not saying, hey, we have courses and all that, but there's a way that you can attract clients to your business, whatever your business is, a roofing company, an
Hmm.
HVAC company, that you can attract business there by creating these challenges. So tell us
Hmm.
why challenges, and I know many of us have heard about challenges for many years, and I know they've changed a little bit. but what has changed and what hasn't changed? Because it almost sounds, and I know you well enough to know that it's not old, but why would someone want to continue to do challenges? And what is some of the a tweak that they need to do? So explain what they are.
Okay,
Why
that's a
would they want
lot
to
of
do? I know.
questions.
I brought it back down. Explain
Uh,
what they are. Why would they want to do them? And what could they do to tweak maybe a past experience with a challenge?
Okay, so I'm gonna back up a little bit. So
Yeah.
one of the things you asked is what it is that we actually do.
Yeah.
And everything we've talked about up until now was a perfect segue because what we help people do right now is uncover their expertise and package it in a way that people can access. So we do it through programs, through challenges, through workshops. So it doesn't matter what business you have, you could create a little mini training, whether you call it a program, which is usually like more of a 5 week a format, or a challenge, which my golden standard for a challenge is a 5 day. Doesn't matter what business you have. Like if you have a winery, create a wine appreciation. Create it like this is how you taste the wine. Create this is the differences between these different varietals. There's always something that you can teach to your ideal clients because they always want to learn more, whether it's roofing, like 101 how to not fix your roof, or what
Yeah, or
questions
what
to
to look
ask.
for,
Yes,
or yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, or
right.
how to make choices on how to do stuff. So
Mhm.
any business has ability to put together a practical training. The format of it, the length of it, the details of it, that would depend on what your purpose is, what your goal is, and how you're using it. So when I said that I created my very first program, I actually created in a challenge format. So for me, a program is usually where you have a kind of like think of a university course almost. So you have quite a bit of content. You give people time to learn it, to implement it, to ask your questions, and so forth. So it's usually really meaty, and you have a certain level of mastery by the time you finish the program. That for me felt like really overwhelming when I first was thinking like I need to create a training. So I wanted to pull it back. And so what I created a 21-day challenge, which we call it a program, we call it a training, depending on like which situation I'm in. And the challenge is more of a, I'm going to give you a quick little assignment every day, like a 5 to 10 minute video or a PDF that's going to tell you, here's what you need to know. Here's why it's important. Here's what you need to do right now, and get people into action every single day. So it was
Yeah,
21-day videos where every single day people get instructions on what to do so they can implement and start seeing results. So over the years, I've done challenges in the 5 day format, 20-day format, 30-day format, and so forth. And we found that the best format that works for gathering new potential leads and turning them into clients online is a free 5 day challenge where you're inviting people and you say, hey, over the next 5 days, we are going to give you all of the details you need to get this specific result. And it's completely free. Who wants to come in? So you're getting a lot of leads. And then you engage
yeah,
with people and you show them how fast they can see and get the results. And after 5 days, they go, okay, I want more. I need more. How do I work with you? How do I continue? I understand you. I know, like, and trust you now. What do we do next? So it's a
yeah.
perfect
And I
format.
think, right. And I was going to say, I think the important thing about this is that you're not trying to, because we're in education, you're not trying to give someone an MBA in 5 days. You're trying to
Correct.
give them a starter course in five
Hmm.
days or, the basic foundational pieces of it so that they are interested. So it would be akin to, hey, come to this orientation about this college, and at the orientation, and we're going to show you this and talk to you about that and show you the team and go to your dorm room, and everybody goes, oh, I want to go to the college. How do I go to the college? Right. So I think that's really important, that it doesn't have to be taxing for the deliverer as
Hmm.
well as the person who's receiving.
Correct, but I want to make one correction. So some
Mhm.
people think like, oh, I can just like talk to people about like the introduction to my topic. The difference between the in ebook where you can say, here's the introduction to college, or here's the introduction to our vineyard, that's all information based. And that does not have as much value as the challenge. The main difference of the challenge as a lead magnet, as a way to get new client, is that it's experiential. You have to
Right.
make sure people are getting results. So it's not just like, oh, I'm getting interested in it. It's not like a public service announcement. There
Right.
has to be action that people have to take, and
Yes.
that's what makes them like not comparable to any other marketing method that exists
Yeah.
in real
Yeah.
life because
I
people get
probably
it.
gave a bad example because I knew it wasn't that. I did know that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I used to do something called the 7 day biz blitz, and every morning they would have an assignment on how to get their business plan put together. That's what
Yes.
it was for. It was 7 days on how to put your business plan together, for God's sake, because so many people didn't have it put together.
Mhm.
And it
Yes,
was just the starting pieces of that. Okay, so today we're going to talk about this, and here's the form, and here's
exactly.
go do it. And yeah, I love that. And I love that you're doing these challenges. And it's a great way for us to get really involved with our communities, really
Hmm.
involved with the people that we want to serve. And it really will, I believe, help. And not to say that you couldn't have a variety of different challenges on different topics at different times, but it allows for us to get real clear on who exactly it is we want to serve, because we're going to provide them with a course, a mini course, in being
Hmm.
able to accomplish that result. And now it's not that we're talking to everybody and getting nothing. We're talking to very specific people.
Hmm.
And I love that you're doing that. And I know you put these challenges together, and we're going to provide information about that, in our show notes and stuff, in our gift vault and all of that. So before, unless there's anything else you want to talk about the challenge right now, I want to scooch over into Facebook groups as well, because these
Sure.
go in hand, right? These two
Yes,
things would be
absolutely.
released hand in hand, because who are you going to tell that you're having a challenge?
Hmm.
So is from a chicken egg perspective, which comes first to ensure that you have a really good challenge?
Okay, so if you completely starting from scratch and you're saying, I need to create some challenges and I think I need to have a Facebook community because we teach people how to run their challenge inside of the Facebook communities, always do challenge first because it automatically will fill your group. So when
Yeah.
people come to me and say, I'm kind of starting from scratch, I need to have more visibility, I need to gather my ideal clients and I want to make some money, great, run a challenge. And when people are joining your challenge, they're going to end up on your mailing list. And we're also going to invite them into a Facebook group because that's where they can win prizes, ask questions, connect with other people going through challenge. So one of the key elements of the challenges that we teach, they're always live. So there's always starting point and end point. So we're saying like, okay, we're going to start next Monday. And for the next 5 days, we're all together going to go through exactly the same steps. So what happens during the challenge is people bond. They say, oh, I'm not the only one who is working on my business plan. I'm
Right.
not the only one trying to figure out how to do Facebook Lives, how to get more visible, how to share my message, how to add 100 people to my list, whatever the topic of your challenge is. So there's social proof, there's bonding, and there's community as they get inspired by each other and they see each other's ideas. So there's a lot of magic happens because we're running it live. So what happens because you're doing it all in the Facebook group is after your challenge is live, you basically have your pre-built active community where people are already engaged and talking to each other. So it's the absolutely best way to launch a Facebook group. On the other hand, if you have a Facebook group that's kind of went, kind of dormant, and
And it's
nobody's
kind of
doing anything,
yawny, because that was going to
yes,
be my next question, is how
yes,
do you get these people that are in your Facebook
you
group
do a
to
challenge.
there you
Because it
go.
instantly reengages. So when we look at the stats, like if you have a group that's kind of goes ho hum, you do a
Yeah.
5 day challenge, the engagement goes like 1,000% through the roof because everybody's coming in every day, posting, asking questions, winning prizes. Again, if you do the challenge right, the assignments should encourage them to talk to each other, give each other feedback. So there's so much excitement and engagement. And again, if you're looking at the numbers, and we've been doing it for 10 years, so we have so many numbers, so much statistics, that spike in engagement stays up there for about 3 months. And then if you like
Yeah.
even don't do anything else, eventually it kind of starts going back to the pre-challenge time. So you do another challenge. And that's one of the reasons we do about 5 challenges a year for different topics, for different offers.
Are those
Yeah.
challenges growing on one another, or do you repeat some challenges for some new people in? Yeah, so
Yes.
you repeat the same challenges. Yeah.
When we first were starting out and we only had like
Mhm.
1 or 2 distinct challenges, we would run them sometimes even twice a year. Now that I
Yeah.
have probably like I have over 10 challenges that we can pull up, and I have some challenges that we've done to lead to our books that we publish. We've published 5 different books over the last 5 years. Some challenges that lead to specific events. Some challenges lead to my launch. Some challenges lead to our like a big sale of the year. So we have different challenges for different topics. And right now, because I have such a variety, like a vault of challenges, we only do them live once a year. But in the past, you could repeat, like, so some of my clients, they start and they might run the same challenge 2 or 3 times a year, then
To
create
finally
another
get
one
it.
and start rotating. Yes.
Right, to finally get it, finally do the work, finally take the action,
Yes.
those
Mhm.
pieces that are in there. Yeah, I love that you're doing all those. I want to ask you real quickly as we wind up our time together, but on the live part, because I heard it and I know what business owners think is they're like live every day for five
Ah,
days. I don't have that
yes.
kind of time.
I'm
So
so
I
glad that
know
you
it's
asked that.
not 8 hours a day. So let's define
Yes.
that for everybody.
Okay, so my formula, and again, we started teaching challenges before people knew what challenges were. I remember
Yeah.
standing in the audience in front of 100 people and like, raise your hand if you've ever heard or participated in the business challenge, like 2 hands would go up. Now
Yeah.
it feels like every time I open inbox, there's like five
Yeah.
invitations to somebody's challenge. So
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
definitely popularized them. I didn't invent challenges, they've always existed. But like we definitely created a formula that so many people are using right now. So if you've been hearing it about it, most likely it came somewhere from us.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
So my formula, uh, because again, when I was first starting out, I didn't want to talk for 8 hours, and I knew my people did not have 8 hours to go through the challenge. There's other
Right.
formats that are floating around. Our format is it's 5 days with 5 pre-recorded videos that you can do like over the weekend, a week before, and they're each about 10 minutes long. So every single person has extra 10 minutes a day to learn something that they want to learn. And
Yeah.
they don't have to be somewhere online at a specific time to watch it. It's not one of those come here and I'm going to talk nonstop for 2 hours and I hope you get something out of it. It's every single morning you're going to wake up. In the inbox, there's going to be a video that's going to say, welcome to day one. Today, we're going to focus on XYZ. Here's what you need to know about it. Go and do it right now. So, what
Right.
our customers say, they say, first of all, it was very doable. It was very actionable. They woke up and they knew exact steps they needed to take. And they got more results in our free 5 day challenge than they got out of a year of being in a mastermind in different programs because it was so exact. And
Focused
everybody
and
finishes our
intentional.
challenges. Mhm.
Yeah. About how much time does somebody in the challenge spend on the challenge every day? 10 minutes watching
So
the
10
video
minutes
and
watching a video and about 10 minutes to do an assignment.
just
Like
do the
that's it.
assignment. Okay.
They can
Yeah.
always go more. Like I cannot tell them like,
Yeah.
hey, answer these 5 questions. And it
Yeah.
might take them 5 minutes. Some people like, I spent 2 hours really thinking
Right.
about
Right.
each of
Right. Right.
those
Or I
questions.
have kids and they distracted me and it took me all day.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
there's
Got
no
it.
like
Yeah.
set time that they have to be anywhere. So they can
Yeah.
do it at their convenience whenever they want throughout the day and they can also catch up if they miss a day.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. I love that. Thank you for clarifying that. And I think
Sure.
that's important for you listening, right? That you understand that this is not taking up a lot of your time. Of course, you have to put the challenge together, and there's some thought behind that, a lot of thought and organization and date planning and all that good stuff. But once you've put it together, it's set it and forget it and just rinse and repeat over and over, a couple times a year to give you that booster shot in your practice, to move forward. What is the one big struggle
Mhm.
that your clients have in implementing and deploying their challenge? What is the one thing that we could anticipate we might have a challenge with?
Well, so number one, if you take my program, you won't have any challenges. So people who know our system, there's really nothing complicated to it. So the thing with challenges is they're deceptively simple because you can look at somebody's challenge and say, hey, just throw 5 videos together, invite some people and do something. So I think the biggest challenge is underestimating the thought that has to go into the topic,
Right.
the development of the challenge itself. The technical part is incredibly easy. The time commitment, you basically need to spend an hour recording. Like think about like if you had to teach an hour-long workshop and make sure
Yeah.
people are getting a result, that's about the length of the challenge if you take it apart into 10-minute videos. So there's nothing hard about it. The hard part and the determination of whether the challenge is going to work or not is, did you choose the right topic and did you create the desire for your offer? So we spend couple of weeks in the program itself, not at the minutiae little logistical details, because that's super easy, but on what is your offer and what is the best challenge to offer. I do a lot of debriefs for big people's launches, like $1 million launches, and they're like, well, we've tried to do a challenge and it didn't quite work. And we look at it and they chose the wrong topic, or they
Yeah.
didn't develop the topic that you teach inside of the challenge. They have to create the desire for what's coming next. So you want to make sure that people are getting the value for what you've promised. So let's say if your challenge says over the next 7 days or 5 days, you're going to walk away with a business plan, they better walk away with a business plan, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you want them to trust you that if you said, here's what you're going to get, they're going to get. On the other hand, if you stop there, they're going to thank you and leave and say, well, this was a great challenge. You're awesome. And never buy the next step for you. When we're doing a challenge, the goal for it is to create the desire for your next offer. So if you
Yeah.
pick the right topic and you do the right things inside of the challenge, by the time you come to the end, they go, this is so great. And I understand what my next step is. Do you also teach that? Do you have an
Yeah.
offer? How can I
Yeah.
hire?
Because now I have my business plan. How do I work my business plan?
Correct. But
Yeah.
if you closed your challenge too soon,
Yeah.
gave too much, or it's too closely related to your offer, you could walk away with happy people who did not want to take the next step. So the
Yeah.
biggest, basically the biggest mistake people make is not choosing the right topic and not creating that desire. And it's hard to predict because you look at the overall model and it's really easy. 5 videos or over 5 days. It's the art and science of the topic and the development of your challenge where people get into trouble.
Yeah. 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 And I'm glad that I asked you that question because that's what you need to be hearing, right? Is that this on the surface seems really easy and it is easy to implement, but it's so much easier when you have a guide,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's why I'm bringing this forward on this show is that it's all things business, right? All things, and we do want more lead generation, and we do want to attract more clients, and this is another way to do it. We've got networking, we know how to do that. We have presentations and speaking and referral partners and all that. This is just another tool in your toolbox, another resource for you to consider to be able to move your business forward, right? Move it forward. So, Alina, what would you like to leave with our guests? We're going to have all the links and everything in the gift vault and all of that. We're going to have all the links for you to reach out and get information about working with Alina, following Alina, being in one of her challenges, so you can see what it's like to be in the challenge yourself.
Yes.
We'll give you all that.
Mm-hmm.
But what would you like to say to someone listening about client attraction, creating these Facebook groups and the challenges, like all bottled together?
Ooh, so number one, there's something in you that your people want to learn, that your people want to be like you, that your people see in you and they want to emulate. And the best way to leverage your business is to package it into some kind of a format that can be repeatable and can be leveraged. So whether it's a program, whether it's a challenge or a workshop, as soon as you take that intellectual property, that wisdom that you have, that knowledge that you have, and you put it into a product, offer, package that exists outside of you, you instantly added like hundreds of thousands or more dollars to your business in the value of it, because now you can teach it, somebody else can teach it, people can just buy it as a home study program and go through it. So always think is, what is it I'm constantly teaching repeatedly, or something that I know and I would love to share with others? And then whatever format you choose, program, challenge, workshop, any other mini training, mini course, like that's what adds that online part to your business, because instantly it exists. You can still do everything that you do one-on-one, but if somebody cannot hire you outside of your locale and or just can't afford your prices, they can learn kind of do it yourself method. And honestly, that is That's my secret to scaling your business to 6 figures and beyond. There's no way you can get with the online component of your business to 7 figures without something leveraged. And challenges, one of the funnest and the fastest way to make it happen, because not only you have this engaging, interactive thing that's happening for 5 days. Every single challenge, once you're done, now you have a mini course that you can sell separately for as long as you have your business.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely beautiful. But well said, well entertained. And this is something that again, you should be considering in your business as another resource and another tool to attract clients. And that you've heard it through the grapevine, right? You've heard it through the vine. So, Alina, thank you so much for being a guest with us today. We are so appreciative of your counsel and your wisdom and your advice. And I hope that everyone hops on to your program and has some fun with, these challenges in 2025. I know I am, I am. I have 3 challenges scheduled in 2025, and I am working my little fingers off to learn everything I can so that I can implement them great. So I appreciate you being here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, we'll catch you on the next episode. See you soon. Thank you for joining us on Business on the Vine. If you found value in today's conversation and would like additional support, go to supportfromjen.com. Remember, the best ideas are always discovered on the vine, so keep innovating, stay inspired, and continue to grow.